Beyond the Backstage Pass. Welcome to our 75th episode. This is going to be a special show. We're here with you tonight. We're super excited about it. Our good friend, Kyle Thomas, my co-host, is out as we speak. I believe he just went into Vegas with John Legend. And I am lucky enough to have my one and only dear good friend, speaker, loudspeaker design legend, Bernie Broderick, here with me this evening. Bernie Broderick. Swing. How are you doing, big boy? All right, so he came in with the cool of the cool Tom Selleck Magnum PI.
Here it is.
New badass shirt.
V2.
V2. We got version 2 here.
Yep.
Very cool, my daddy.
Thanks, brother, man.
Real cool, brother.
I feel cool.
How was your week this week?
It was good.
Did you have some fun?
Super busy. Yeah, I'm always busy.
I seen you building out there, doing your magic, making pretty things that sound extraordinarily good. It's like functional art.
Yeah, that's
utilitarian art.
That's what I'm going for.
Well, you're nailing it. Did you see how I accidentally left my speaker that I bought from you?
You did accidentally.
Sitting out accidentally right there. I don't think, Brian, I'm going to get up out my seat for a second. I don't think the pretty lights. Now, I know my dear good friend, Captain Snoopy Farquhar. I always get his last name wrong. He's only like my uncle, but I've just called him Snoopy for 35 years. So never really thought it was that important to learn the last name because it's hard, but we miss him. I hope he's coming in soon. But I'm going to point that light right at you, Snoop. We're hoping you're seeing that pretty light. And we're just kicking it here together. What's news, man?
Hey, man. We got some great stuff to cover here. We want to get our opening remarks out of the way.
Sure.
Well, not out of the way. I shouldn't say.
Let's get them off the table. Let's put them to bed.
But they're good things. They're all good things. First of all, I want to thank Bobby Schneider for the interview last week. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it's nice to see Bob. We have a long history with Bob. And he's a good man. He's extremely accomplished, and he's turning over a new leaf. So, I thought it was funny when he said on the show, I'm going to try this kinder, gentler than me. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there that don't believe that. And so I started getting notes from people that tour with Metallica and some of the bands he's worked with. Like, yeah, I don't have to see that to believe it. So, So Bob, I guess the challenge is back at you, baby. You go do that voodoo you do, and show the people that knew you because we got a taste of it, and it was really nice to have him here.
He's an awesome guy. I mean, if he sticks with it, he's got a future in this business. I really do believe it.
On top of his 35 or 40 years.
Yeah. All that aside, everyone's got to train.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Actually, he may have a future in this business, meaning that he could really start enjoying it from this point forward. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of stress to do what he does, and so to kind of have that self-enlightenment. That I gotta chill, I gotta do this. He's only bringing good things to himself, I'm
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, we think
I
Bobby
did a
and
little
Chill.
spit take there for a second.
Yeah, Bobby and Chill. Yeah.
No, you're not wrong.
Right.
Bobby's carried a lot of weight in his position as production manager for some of the biggest rock bands in the world. Let's be honest. It's not an easy job, and I think he thought that there was a way that he had to do it to get the respect and get the job done and get the deadlines met, and he's seeing that maybe there's another approach to that he can live with better too. So we want all the best for him. He's a dear man and a long time family friend. And cheers to him. And again, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. And so we got to hang out with Raz there last week and this week.
So
that was pretty fun.
I enjoy him immensely.
He's great,
After the show, me and him hung out for hours. We listened to a bunch of Blues Traveler. He's a guitarist in his own right and one of the top engineers in the world, and just a sweetheart of an individual. We brought him in for some big shows we needed done over the weekend, and he came and knocked him out. He's down in L.A. way, and he's coming back up here to do another batch of shows for us for a week, and it's just always a treat to have him here. He's a singular kind of individual, and so. Yeah, it's why we're mentioning him a second time because I just got deep love for them.
Yeah, so, he's great. He's great peeps, man.
Yeah.
What else we got going on? Wanted to talk about the sound image revamp of the chapel in San Francisco.
This is a unique spot. This is a place that's got to be 100 years old if it's a day. What is that, right, Mikey? It's over 100, huh? It's just so imagine this massive former chapel with everything that entails, the crazy roofs and all the big stage, and it used to be a worship place, and then it went dormant for many years, and then it got bought up and went through the property transition stuff with squatters and all that, San Francisco type shit, and it turned it into this venue that is, it's a beautiful place. It's really exceptional. About 4 years ago, we put a system in there and they hadn't done a lot with it except for played the living shit out of it, and so they called us out because they were having some problems. So we had to pull their boards and get into their amp rooms and just pretty much anything you can imagine. And it was a couple inches of dust and detritus that had collected through the years, and so we went through and jiggered that thing up and put some of our top guys on it, and so they're back to the races, and I think they opened up their season on Wednesday. So
fantastic!
So good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
And I got a note here about business to business with Third Year and Fronte.
Well, Michael Fronte is one of our customers, one of our accounts. Michael Fronte Spearhead. We've got Brian Adorama out there with him, and they are wrapping up what it was an extraordinary. Fronte plays all over, literally from Africa to he's that guy. He just wide appeal, and he's endless, boundless energy. And they were wrapping up their tour, and they're going to land a place with one of our sister companies, one of our B2B relationships with a company, Third Year Audio. And so we had to deliver some stuff over. So I went over to their shop this morning and hung out with them for a few minutes and caught up with CJ Carlson. It was nice to see you, CJ, and some of their crew and see what they're doing. Had one of those husky dogs, looks like he's straight out of like Alaska. And he was doing that weird husky fucking thing the whole time. And it was just very nice to see the crew over there. So we dropped off some stuff that I wanted them, since they're going to be on the last show with Fronte. I don't know where the hell it is, somewhere in the middle of California or some shit. That I dropped some gear off with him. So it was just nice to see him.
So we had John Del Rio drop by today from Gallagher.
Gallagher Staging, big man, John Del Rio. I think he's saying aloha to us right here, right now.
Is he on there?
Johnny Del Rio.
Oh,
he's
there he is.
Dear
Aloha.
Brother. He's a big bear of a man. He's a singular, huge talent. Been in the business, goddamn, 40 years. There ain't nothing he hasn't done. BPG, Accurate, all of, he's really put out the tentacles and laid down the foundation. And he stopped in and he told us, he reminded us of something.
Yeah. Talking about he's the co-founder of Loving Hands for Stagehands, and reminded us that it is Suicide Prevention Month. Yeah. Right now.
Reach out to your friends.
Reach out to your friends.
Yeah, those people that maybe don't call as often as maybe you should. Yep. You're not knowing where their heads are at. We've had some losses in our system as it relates to that. John's sensitive to this because he's a caring individual, and and so my brother, Bob Powers, legendary rigger, Bob Powers works with Bobby all the time with Metallica. Right. They started this Loving Hands for Stagehands thing, very thoughtful, very sweet. And it's a good place. It's a good resource for folks that are having a bad day, having some stinking thinking, whatever it may be. I don't know the best way to put it. I do some moderating there, and we check them out. And just really good guys. It's a great resource if you want to go get some positive information and maybe, talk amongst other people in the industry that would understand what they might be feeling or going through.
I think it was Pooch made a comment or something on social media saying that it's all well and good that a lot of us are back to work and doing this, but a lot of people aren't.
Yeah. So
you gotta. It's easy to get wrapped up in the euphoria that everything's kind of getting back to normal, but it's happening very slowly. Yeah. So there's a lot of people out there that are still
unevenly.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that are still getting the phone calls and still getting the credit hounding and wondering about if they can make their mortgage payments, and because stuff just hasn't happened for them yet.
Yeah.
So be mindful of that when you're talking to your friends and stuff. And we always like to look back and say, if only I knew. If only. Well, you can know if you ask. You can talk to those people, and sometimes you have to drag it out of them, but let them speak to you, because most times people want to get some things off their chest. They want to talk to somebody, but there's really nobody paying enough attention to them, and so they turn it inward. And
that's a good point. Maybe I think you're talking about listening.
Just listening.
Yeah, listen to reach out to your friends, listen to what they got going on, what they're feeling, what's happening. I'm not a real mushy kind of guy, except for with my buddy who I love more than.
It's not mushy. It's human.
Excuse me.
Just to listen, and when you talk to your friends, I mean, I've had a couple of guys over the last year that I found out some very interesting things about how they were doing. They weren't doing well.
Yeah.
They just weren't doing well, but you never would have known in the first 5 minutes of the conversation, because they would have deflected it.
Well, that was their representative talking. That wasn't them. That was they were trying to put up a good front. And again, because this has happened so very unevenly.
Yep.
And if you're in a large market, maybe you got out a little quicker. But depending where you're landed and where you're at,
right,
it maybe hasn't happened the same for all of us. And and some of us don't have, what you do or what I do. They keep us occupied, regardless of the show load, although we are very busy.
Yeah.
And it does it has a weird, inoculating quality to make me kind of forget that all the rest of the world's going on. Now, luckily, because of our little closed roadie groups and the Loving Hands page, we have a little bit more of a finger on the pulse of some of what's going on around the country. And people reach out to us.
Yeah,
and comments
I've seen it.
And so
I've
on.
seen it. It's like people will come on and say, "I'm having a crap day," and then it's like, everybody just jumps in, and it's a fantastic thing to be witness to see.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last week, we are a very small group of people in this world, and we all kind of gravitated towards this industry based on the type of people we are. So the best advice we can get is from people like us who can sympathize with the positions and the things that have happened and stuff. You hear the same stories from so many different people about how their lives have been in this industry. They're very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar paths that we've all gone on. So the understanding is there. Anyway, it's fantastic. John Del Rio is fantastic. What he does is fantastic. And hey, John.
He's a dear friend.
Yeah. So I want to do a couple of shout outs to Wes Aiken, of course, CJ Carlson, who you already did.
Yeah.
Charlie, Scott, Lee, and of course, Jackie.
The love of my life, Jackie Canterbury, the ever hardworking, wonderful, amazing angel of Slow Fiber.
Yep.
She's an extraordinary woman. I also would love to say, hey to Jorge Aguado, take care of that leg. Susan Kearney, hey Sue, we miss you, honey. We can't wait to be having you working with us again. And Patrick Heineman today was putting out all kinds of fires for me and went home and plugged in the TV. So we want to thank Pat for all his efforts and his kindness. He's a good man.
Yeah, Jorge Edwards is
Eduardo.
Yeah, Jorge Eduardo. Yes, foreigner. I think he's a foreigner.
Is he one of them imports?
I think he just gave me his PIN number to his debit card. Thanks for that.
Mother's maiden name, man. Don't forget that. We need that. Yeah.
And so you guys are making a bit of a progress here. I understand that you're going to be kicking off a Patreon setup starting next week, which I think is a fantastic idea, and honestly, I think it's long overdue. Obviously, you've been doing 75 shows now. You've done it. When we started this,
and me.
We did this as in kind. Couldn't have done it without the support of a bunch of other people.
That's right.
Of course, the equipment on loan, the building on loan, people working physically for nothing, just in the spirit of the show, and just to keep that ball rolling. So I think the Patreon thing is due, and for anybody who doesn't know what Patreon is, it gives you the opportunity to make donations or whatever to the show, to give back a little bit, to keep it rolling, to keep everything going. And I think we talked earlier about putting some like swag kits and sticker packs and stuff together for people who are going to jump in and assist. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. You guys have been working on it, but but every tiny little bit helps.
Well, not to go too much into the weeds on that subject, but as you mentioned when we first started out, we were using your gear, our gear here at the shop, the company stuff, and large screen video helped us a great deal. Lots of wonderful support from our friends in the industry, and we have many sponsors. We've had our catering from Chef's Touch and Sweet Treatments and all these wonderful people. Since then, after 75 shows, we couldn't keep imposing, hey, let us borrow your $3,000 a week cameras and so on. So we've since bought those cameras ourselves. Mm-hmm. We've bought the monitors that are all surrounding us with the comments and the questions and the previews and all the things going on here. So we've spent quite a bit of money to keep this going because we enjoy it. This is our friends and we love them, and we do this for a reason, and part of it is to kind of keep a positive note out there in the industry with the folks that our audience, and keep reminding them why we do this and the passion that's behind it and the love we have for our jobs in the industry. And so at some point, we'd love for you guys to reach out. We got stickers. We got a bunch of little different swags, coffee mugs, pins, blah, blah, blah. Different things different swag from, Digico and
that would be great too. I mean, because I know there's probably a bunch of people out here watching that work for different brands and stuff. If they've got swag they want to donate to the show,
right,
that you can then include and send off to other people. I mean, that would be pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, that would be. I would love to build little packages. Historically, we've done this. We've sent stuff
I gave
all
you a
around the
bunch.
world. You've Truth and Audio stuff, EAW stuff, Adamson stuff. Some of obviously our own stuff,
Yep.
from bulk playing cards to coffee mugs to different things. And we've sent them out to Ireland, Great Britain, Norway, all over the States.
Yeah.
And we do that for the love. But yeah, it's getting a little pricey to operate the show. And,
It is, and it's and you know, to everybody watching, no, he's not bullshitting. I mean, when he says
No.
we, he really means me.
Well,
This guy has invested a ton of his own
that's
personal
very
money
sweet of you to
into
point that
doing this, and he does it because he loves it,
Yes.
and he does it because he enjoys the community, the sense of community that surrounds the show, and rightly so. You've done an amazing job. I'd like to
oh, that's very
give you a little round of applause for
Thank
the
you, my brother.
amazing
That's
work that
very
you've
sweet.
done on this.
Let's not forget that, you know, I couldn't do, and me and you come up here and look pretty and act smart and all that shit, and we couldn't do it without the support of Sound Image, my brother George Edwards, the big cheese here, Dave Shadone, and really, I want to say most importantly, at least from where I'm sitting, Mikey Brown.
Audio Jesus.
Audio fucking God, Jesus, rock and roll Jesus over there.
Yep.
He's back there switching. He's the executive producer. He pulls together all the images. He's doing the camera stuff, the audio
Young
stuff.
Audio Jesus.
What's that?
Young Audio Jesus,
Young
not baby,
Audio Jesus.
not baby
No,
Audio
no,
Jesus,
but-
not the old Audio Jesus.
I
the
think
early
we were
20s.
talking to Del Rio today, and he was saying we need to throw a camera up on Mike because
Yeah.
just to get his visage on the air. Hey, Mikey, when you can you come out from behind your desk and fix the clock? Because I have no idea how much time I spend out here, and it must have fallen down or something.
That was a very nice. That was a nice segue there. That was a fan. Cheers to the segue, folks.
Yeah,
Cheers
you
to
know,
the segue.
Sometimes you're just in a moment and you gotta speak to it.
Can you
So-
just come out here and, just fix
and
that?
save the day, Mikey,
that
once
broken-
again,
that
for like the
broken thing.
1000th time in the history of this show. Listen, I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for coming to this day.
Yeah.
I had to bring out your beautiful little speaker, the Kiri, because I'm not just I'm not just a member.
Yeah. I'm also a client. Is that what it is?
Yeah, whatever the haircut for men dude thing is. Oh yeah, we burned up a batch of time.
It's good. It's good.
Oh, thank you.
There
My
you go.
guest is doing devil's duty. This
Yeah,
guy,
of course,
poor
yeah.
guy.
We're all gonna do
He
that.
is a gem.
We're all
He's
gonna
a
do
little
that.
bit of gold right
Nobody's
there.
gonna sit and watch
Thank
it
you
burn.
so much.
Nobody's gonna sit and watch it burn. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's been good. I'm closing in on finishing the second batch of these now. I know I've got a bunch of people out there who are chomping at the bit
Yeah.
to get theirs, and it's been fantastic. We build in like a 4 to 6 week shipping time, to ship because they are all hand built, and
That's right.
especially in these early stages when I'm building up suppliers and things like that, and I'm getting
Yeah.
things in bulk. It takes longer to get parts in, and so on and so forth. So I'm very fortunate that these people are patient and they're okay to wait. They're not losing their minds or anything like that. And it looks like I'll make that deadline. So it's
Fantastic.
good. Out there paying, but the last couple of weeks has been really interesting because on the last show we talked about the amplifier project.
Yeah.
And that's been fantastic. And there's also several things in the queue for TCM. And so there's been, so to summarize, it's been interesting because I've been contacted by at least 4 or 5 different manufacturers who in some way, shape, or form are looking for my involvement in what they do.
Okay.
Which I think is really unique in this industry because normally it's a closed loop. Companies don't tend to reach out to other companies like that to say, hey, I have this issue or problem or whatever. Can you help me? I did a bunch of videos for one company, was a spokesperson. Obviously, like I said, the TCM, we're looking at one major manufacturer here in the United States that is looking at adopting it as their de facto standard for their network sound systems.
That makes perfect
and
sense.
that's one of several that will obviously require it. The AMP project, which has now attracted 2 different companies. So these things are crazy cool for me because it's speaking to the spirit of why I started the company in the first place.
Yeah.
Creativity, collaboration work, just presenting good things to the public and getting away from this kind of corporatized, by the numbers, people with 3-letter acronyms or whatever. Getting away from all that and kind of getting back to the roots of what our industry was founded on, which is a big brotherhood, sisterhood kind of scenario. you know. So I find that really exciting that people are reaching out and they're not afraid to talk to me about stuff. I had one phone call the other day where he says, yeah, well, I'm gonna have to throw out the NDA thing before I go any further, you know, and that was the extent of it. It wasn't like, I'll need to send you the documents and you'll need to fill them out and sign them and send them back to me when I'll get it reviewed by my attorney and then maybe I'll divulge. It was like, yeah, it's Bernie, man.
Anybody who knows you long enough knows you keep stuff close.
Yeah,
you're not out running around, kissing out a turn and such.
Because I'm not here to disrupt your business. I'm here to try to help it.
That often, at least.
I'm trying to help it.
Yeah, that's right.
What did you say?
Nothing. I said Bernie's the best. It's truth and all your rules. That's all I said. I don't even be getting all sensitive about it. What the hell?
I actually want to say a shout out. I don't know if he's watching or not. One of my friends just this week did something fantastic. Michael Colon.
Oh, sure.
Started his own rep firm out of Vegas.
Actually, I saw his marketing.
MC Marketing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so
cool.
huge shout out to Michael.
Michael's a badass.
He's a great guy. I mean, he's just super friendly all the time and stuff. And he took a couple of lumps from a couple of different things that were going on. And he actually called me and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And he says, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm going, do it, man.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
So Michael's out there now, and I'm in the middle now of redesigning the Jewel series.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jewel series being like for installation and things like that.
Cool.
So that's really good. That's coming along nice. And so maybe I'll get the chance to work with people like Michael.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Going forward.
He's a hell of a guy.
In the meantime, buy a goddamn Curie out there, for Christ's sakes, man.
Subtle.
What the fuck?
I highly recommend it. What's up, Daddy?
What?
I've been told. All right.
What?
You just put. I got to move on. I have to move on.
Can I leave now?
No.
Am I done?
No, you stay right there.
Can I play the speaker?
Bern, it's always a delight having you.
You say that now.
Yeah, we're gonna.
We got another fucking 40 minutes. We got 40 minutes to go. Yeah.
Listen, I have been very lucky to get a very special guest on this evening. In the show, we try to reach out to different disciplines in our industry to highlight different facets of what we do in this industry: lighting, staging, audio. Obviously, if you watch the show, you've noticed we're a little audio heavy because we're audio guys and we know a lot about really cool audio people. Tonight is I feel very blessed to have a very special guy here in the house for you. He has been in our industry since the late 70s. He has been a mix engineer. He's come up through the ranks. He's got all kinds of varied interests, from motorcycles to yeah, and Bernie would like that. Bernie, the motorcycle man. He is in this rarefied space. He works for a wonderful company that supplies consoles to many of the engineer and audio companies in our area. And whenever we get in a bind, we reach out to this guy. He is one of the coolest people I know, easily one of the smartest people I know, and he's here with us tonight. It is the one and only Sidney Wilson.
Yeah.
How are you, my
Yo.
I'm good.
It's so good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having
I've been
me.
wanting to have you for a long time. You've been very busy. You had the big bottle rock run with Guns N' Roses and Foo Fighters and everybody else, and all the work that you guys do to keep yourselves busy, which seems to be, at least lately, cheers to that, right? And I wanted to point out, Charlie, he's using your Hell Michigan glasses for his tequilas this evening. Yeah,
I like it.
We got a great friend, Charlie Zareki, who sends us these wonderful things. He's an extraordinarily accomplished guy in our industry in his own right, and he sponsors us with the little love gestures. And so I thought this is a perfect opportunity to use one of those things.
It's nice. It's good.
Yeah, good. Listen, my friend, here on the show, we have a tendency to start the show off with a couple. We kind of book in this thing on the front end. We ask about how folks get into the industry. We're interested in the origin story. Can you share how you got into our industry? How you got into this industry?
It was my dad's best friend, actually.
Really?
My dad's best friend was this was before AT&T used to be, was AT&T?
Are you talking about the Pro-Am?
No, it was Pac. It was when
the
telephone company was.
Pac Bell Park.
No. When the Pacific Bell was the phone company.
Yeah.
He was an electrical engineer for Pacific Bell.
Gotcha.
And he was my dad's best friend. He died right when I was about 17 or 18 years old. But he was the one that I did, it was 1974, and I did a concert with the Stair Steps and the Four Tops
Wow.
at the LA Coliseum, and I didn't know what front of house or monitors were in those days.
Sure.
And we had a Shure M63
Wow.
to mix the show with 2 Shure column speakers.
Amazing.
Four. We had 2 per side.
And this is at the
This is at the LA Convention Center.
No shit.
I was probably 14, maybe 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was my that was one of the introductions, and the other one was I blew up my dad's tube amplifier.
Uh-oh.
And he didn't get mad. He just said, "Let's fix it."
Wow.
So it was.
That's very sweet.
Yeah, it was. It's been an interesting journey for sure. And,
Yeah.
And things that are available to us with respect to tools and EQ. We didn't know what EQ was. It was a bass and treble.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
It's a new word.
Yeah, and when you got more than 4 channels, I mean, it was awesome. And I mean, the M63 was this big.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And so that was my beginning, probably 1974.
Oh, very cool. And a quick shout out.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
But no two ways about it. And Chris Leonard, if you're listening, excellent candidate for How You Got Loud. Another
Right.
show that is the history, and you go in and talk to him about how we got from there to here. Can you help us? I don't think I did justice to Lewis's and your spot over there at High Tech. Can you help us understand what's the mission statement? How would you describe High Tech?
High Tech is a unique company, and the 2 partners that started it, Ralph Tolson and Lewis. Most people don't really know this, but they're 2 brilliant guys. I mean, just Stanford graduate. One has a PhD in geophysics, so they're super smart. They started out as a sound company, and because of their ingenuity and opportunity, they moved to consoles.
Yeah.
And so that's been the market that they've been in. And I said to them when I first got involved with them, I don't know, a decade or so, I said, "There's no way you guys planned this. I mean, it's a brilliant place to be because it makes sense from a business and a financial standpoint, is that if you are a regional company to have a large format console, and at that time the 4K and Paragons, I mean, they weighed 900 pounds.
Yeah.
So a group that would come to an area that needed a large format console, if that console wasn't working 3 to 4 times a month, it didn't make sense for a company to own it.
Sure.
So these are some really smart guys, and so they've been doing it for a long time. And I got involved with them because I just basically got tired of doing shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I gravitated from doing the mixing and to the technical side, because that's where my background. I'm not a musician. I tried, but I was awful.
Yeah.
I was fucking awful. But I love the electronic side and the engineering side, and so that's what I gravitated to.
Yeah.
And I've been in that position for some time, so it's been a while.
Well, around here, when we get in a bind or, when we come up short because we're rented in 6 different directions, there's only one place for us that we even consider, and of course that's come to you. And of course, when you
Now,
first...
wait. You go to High Tech.
I go to High Tech.
You don't come to me, because I don't own the
out to
I don't
you.
own the company.
I know. I understand.
If you guys have a problem,
the delineation that you're saying.
Yeah, because I don't own it.
But I mean, even when you walked in the building tonight, and my brother was mixing on his club board, which is that what is that
4K?
That 4K over there. He's old school, But he goes out.
With KT, 3rd octave EQs, 2 distressors.
Amazing. I love those distressors.
It's fucking amazing. Yeah.
But and the first thing we do is flagged you down and pulled you over and picked your brain. It's just, I think it's a natural.
But that's what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the nature of I think the people in our industry.
Yeah.
And we all love this business. We all love troubleshooting. And I will say this: one of the things about High Tech and the kind of the motto is that we are, and I don't want to sound too arrogant, but we are very good at troubleshooting.
I can totally
and that's what we
confirm
do.
that.
And that's what we do.
Yes.
And so our job is to make your job as a sound company easier.
And you definitely do this.
And that's what we do. And that's the love of what we do, right? Is we love troubleshooting and we love seeing systems work.
Right.
And if you do well, we do well.
Yes, that seems to be the case. It's always been the alchemy before us, and you know, we love having you as, and I don't know the best way to put it, in our back pocket to bail us out of trouble, because every so often we get in too deep and we know you're.
We bail everybody out. Yeah, we bail a lot of people out.
Yeah, it's you guys are you're not exclusive that way, and but you know, in our minds, I think we like to think somehow we're special.
You are special.
You guys drop what you're doing and save us, you know, and it's a wonderful thing to have. First of all, real quick, it wasn't in the cards, but I have to ask how Naoko's doing. Well,
she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's an extraordinary gal. We had her in here for a minute. And I think it was what we did was a little bit outside her comfort zone, you know, the pull and feed and doing some of these things, and I think she was wasted here. And but her brain is just too advanced.
Well, I have this need to help, because when I first started in the industry, there were no opportunities.
Yeah.
There were no opportunities for me. And so when you see, and the problem that still exists in our industry now is there are not enough women.
I agree.
And you know, when you hear some of us in industry say, well, she's not strong enough, well, how many of us can pick up an 800-pound console? It's always 8 guys. Exactly. And so with that in mind, when we first met Naoko, we realized that she was a star.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to be 200 pounds to work for high tech. You just need to have a brain.
Yeah.
And she's got one.
Oh my goodness.
What is not known by a lot of people is that she is an accomplished pianist.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
so
correct.
when you couple that with her skill set and her tenacity,
sure.
She reads everything.
Yeah, I believe that.
And so the idea behind what we do is that this process of consoles and fiber optics and networks and Dante and all this stuff, all these pieces, our job is to make that process easier for our customers, which is you guys, right?
Yeah.
Because the mixing console is one part.
That's right.
It's an integral part and it's an important part, but it is a part that should not be difficult. And it is.
It is.
And it is. And so having her on board in my opinion, is a poster child for what we should be doing for women in our industry.
Yeah.
They bring a level of integrity. They bring creativity. And they have just as much smarts, if not more, than most men in the industry.
I'm going to have to say I couldn't agree with you more. I've experienced this firsthand. We have some pretty amazing female A1s in our mix. Yep. We have one that was working here today on the SD10, was schooling some of the young men that were struggling to navigate their way through the console, and she rolled right up on them.
They got to get past their goddamn egos and learn.
Yeah, exactly. Exactamundo. So and she came in and brushed them aside in a very gentle way and took them to school and got them where they needed to be in short order. And, you know, there's a couple... there's a thing, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, called soundgirls.org.
I do. I know who they are.
Yes, and they're extraordinary. I know Greg took Greg Price, you know, a gentleman that stays here with us and is probably one of the foremost mix engineers in the world. Absolutely adores Naoko. I mean, he couldn't have her in enough. I'd come into work. She'd be in here early with him, mixing away, working her little heart out, learning.
So most of the consoles, let me just tell you this, is that most of the consoles that go to these large shows, she's probably the one that's prepped them. She and Bill.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm there if there's a little bit of an issue, right? But generally, Naoko and Bill are the ones that are up-to-date firmware. They're the ones that identify problems, because we don't let anything go out the door. I mean, that is not up to par.
Sure.
And generally, and I'll just tell you one of the secrets we have. Show ready for us is when the gear comes back.
Yeah.
Meaning that we find the problems when the gear comes back.
That's right.
We're not prepping it before it goes out the door.
That's how we do it here too.
Right.
Yeah. And
Well, you guys got it from us anyway.
That's where we took it from. Directly from you.
But back to Naoko she's a poster child for what we should be doing for young engineers who happen to be women.
I agree.
When you do the rigging, they're not lifting. The motor's doing the lifting.
That's right.
When you tune in the PA, you're tuning the PA.
Yeah.
And the PA doesn't know whether it's a woman or a man.
Couldn't care less.
And when you need 8 guys at front of house, you ask for 8 guys at front of house.
And that's exactly.
There's lots of 200-pound guys that can lift 800-pound consoles.
That's right.
That's right.
And we have a crane, so she runs the crane.
Yeah, she flips those boards single, right, by herself, right?
Smart.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
runs,
no,
and, yeah,
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
and runs, but that's also a Lewis thing, right? So we become very efficient. I mean, and I don't. These are not exact numbers, but I would say probably somewhere between 30 and 40% of the tours that come out of high tech.
Yeah.
Console-wise.
I am aware of that.
And that's not it's not a.
Toot your horn, baby.
No, but what it is that it's an incredible business model, and
very clever.
And the level of business and service that high tech has become known for, are the leaders of the two leaders of the business. I mean, they're the ones that, and I've been fortunate to be a part of that. But there's a process, and there's a level of service. I mean, when we do our job, we are transparent.
Yeah.
And we're okay being transparent.
Yeah.
Because if you see us, something's fucking wrong.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, something's fucking wrong if you see me.
That's true. I'm here because you broke something. Kind of like
or,
that vibe.
Yeah, or we may have slipped, but we don't slip very often. We try not to, because if we slip, you slip.
I honestly can't remember a time. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen. It's a business based on human beings, but I honestly cannot recall a time we've got something from you that wasn't
And we
right.
like it that way.
Yeah.
And if we do, if something does fail because it's electronics, and I'll tell you, this last year, and you know this from the engineering side and the design side, is that this is the first time that I believe our planet has ever experienced this, where every industry has stopped simultaneously.
Yeah.
And that also means that consoles, amplifiers have not moved in 18 months.
Yeah.
And so everybody collectively has had issues, from
They don't
batteries
like it.
and clocks and
That's
all
right.
kinds of
They do not
oxidation.
like it. Yeah.
You know, we're unique in this part of the country because we don't have humidity. We don't have snow in this area.
Right.
But I can assure you that a lot of customers have had some real issues. And so this has been a unique time,
Yeah.
where if you did not do good maintenance before,
That's right.
your ass is in trouble, man.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
Right.
I won't
Yeah.
start naming
Or if your
brands,
staff,
but yeah.
or if your staff
Yeah.
didn't take care of the gear before,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
didn't think that this has been off for 18 months,
Yes.
and turn it on,
Batteries and clocks come
and
to
keep
mind.
turning it on, and shit's
right.
blowing up.
That's right.
Right?
It's like parking
Yeah.
a Ferrari for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's going to sulk. We call it sulking.
Well,
That's
you
right.
know, this happens with
right.
homes. You know, homes need to be lived in.
Yeah,
you don't,
they keep
and I think that's a fair analogy there. And we had this too with all of our batteries.
You're
our
not the
backup
only
and
one.
stuff.
Every industry's had it.
Yeah.
We started to see. This was a time for, COVID has been really difficult for a lot of people, but we've taken the opportunity to go through and say, what can we do better? And what we found was that it's like, why is this thing failing and it's been sitting? It hasn't done a show.
Yeah.
And what we realized was that oxidation, moisture buildup, those kinds of things, connectors that haven't been exercised.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, and it's industry wide, and
That's
we've
right.
all experienced it as an industry. We're all experiencing the same thing, and so it's. But we tend to catch those things ahead of time. And so
Yes.
we were looking at this and warning our customers 6 months ago, 6 or 8 months ago. We were saying, you need to do this.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to do this. And something as simple as a console sitting in one spot and the wheel's not rolling.
Not good.
Right.
Not good.
I mean, it sounds really simple, right?
Yeah.
But you got an 800-pound console sitting in one spot on a wheel.
Flat spot.
It's a flat spot.
Not cool.
And now you're sending vibrations all. Well, sorry, they're me going down that.
No,
tunnel,
but you're not wrong.
But that's the kind of
reality.
stuff. That's what. That's
when
what we're all dealing with, right?
when the green light went on and people started hitting the ground, and I've got these groups, so this started being a very common. It was largely with the batteries. People not thinking about, oh shit, my backups are they in good stead? And I know when we first were mindful that it looked like there was a little light coming in the tunnel, we started powering everything up. But we were a little late to the party too, although we were ahead of it and we didn't have any problems in that area. But I think we could have been a little mindful a little earlier.
It's hard to. That's why I said that this was across the industry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
Yes.
It's.
Heard it over and over.
And then the other part of this is that if you had a failure, parts
Parts has been rough.
has been rough, and some things are. Some parts for
Supply
new
chains
consoles,
are all
supply
twisted
chains are
up.
just it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
That's right.
And it doesn't exist.
Yes.
So anyway, that's a.
The challenges of the business. I want to throw them some red meat. Want to get into some of your mixing history.
Oh God.
All right, I know it's a little bit back in. Well, let's talk about a real special one. Throwing a mic on Pope Francis in Mexico City. What the hell is that about? Talk to me. Who gets to friggin' mic up the Pope?
Yowza.
I've never
No,
mic'd a Pope.
I was.
Right?
No, I was actually the Italian Secret Service. I guess that's what they're called.
Sure.
I could only get about this close.
Yeah.
They had their own guy mic them up.
Yeah.
However, I was sent down there to babysit SD7s. And those of you that know what SD7s are, the interesting thing is that we think of Mexico as not first world like we are.
Well, Mexico City, not so much.
Mexico City
That's a
and
metropolitan place.
Mexico City and Mexico Secret Police,
Yeah.
their engineering staff is amazing.
Really?
I mean, absolutely amazing.
That's incredible.
I get to Mexico City and they rented their towers, I believe, from PRG.
Okay.
Because I went down a couple times. I went down for their Independence Day, which is actually, I think, September 5th.
Yeah. That is a big to do.
It's a big to-do.
millions of people.
The president takes over all the televisions. But anyway, so what I was saying was that the engineers are exceptional.
No kidding.
I mean, I was surprised. I mean, I went down there to protect the consoles. And when they think about redundancy, they think about redundancy in a different way.
How so?
They had tripled redundancy for power.
That is different.
For the consoles, as an example, I said, well, it's 2 engines, multiple power supplies, and there's redundant. No, we need 2 SD7s. And so the 2 SD7s, they wanted to see both faders move at the same time. So if that whole console went down, that one had to take its place.
No
so that's what I was there for.
Wow.
And it was an amazing experience. And so that was for the SD7s for the Pope and SD10s in redundant mode as well.
Wow.
So it was and I really just sat back because the Latin American engineers were phenomenal.
Yeah.
In fact, the guy that tuned the PA is the chief. He's the chief engineer or training officer for L-Acoustics.
Oh, no kidding.
He lives in Guadalajara.
Wow.
So I was down there just to make sure. I was just as a backup,
Just to make sure it all went perfect.
just to help in case there was a problem.
And touring Latin America the few times that I've been down, and I have to agree, I was kind of stunned the first time you come in because I think you would come in with a preconceived idea of things being a certain way.
Wrong.
That's exactly right. The only thing I found to be challenging, I don't know if you've experienced this, was sometimes their power was a little
Yes.
uneven. Some of the power issues could be as you travel through as you
Yeah,
start
yeah.
getting
That's
farther
true.
south.
That's true.
This can be an issue. But Mexico City, on the other hand, Mexico City is metropolitan is New
Absolutely.
York City.
Absolutely.
And it's and I think people that don't understand that are misinformed.
That's right.
That is one of the world's biggest cities, and it's advanced, and it is an extraordinary place to be.
an extraordinary
The history
place,
of that
yeah.
place is phenomenal. I love the architecture. I love that. Just
So
the
listen.
food. It's just an extraordinary
I
place.
have to tell you a funny story. The Secret Service, probably shouldn't say this, but
There's only 5 people watching. You say whatever you want.
I'll tell you
Two of them are in this room.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll tell you the other story. One of the first elevators in this hemisphere was in the Mexican Palace.
No kidding.
One of the things that I learned about the Latin American presidential palace is they told me this history behind it, and the history is that I forget the other city, but they had 2 sets of plans when the Spanish came over. There was one set for a prison, and there was one set for a palace, and the plans got mixed up.
No kidding.
Yes. So when you look at the Mexico City, and you look at the way the palace looks when it faces the plaza, like all the European cities, they all face this massive plaza.
Yes.
There's all these tiny windows like a prison,
Right.
and that was supposed to be the presidential, but actually the plans were swapped.
No kidding.
So when you go in,
You had one job.
you had one job, and you swapped the plans. And so when you go in, you can tell. I mean, they've changed it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But the
Extraordinary.
facade looks like a garrison.
It's very military.
Because it was
Yeah.
it was originally designed as a prison.
No kidding.
Because the plans were
I
swapped.
did not know that.
right? Yeah,
Is there a
it's pretty wild.
difference? At the end of the day, is there really a difference?
That's true. That's true.
a
That's
little
true.
bit of a
That's
difference.
true.
Isn't the president a prisoner of his own building? I mean, think
He's a
about
Diamicles. What is his name? Diamicles?
it.
Oh, I have no
You
idea.
remember the guy with the sword over the top
Yeah,
of his head?
Damocles.
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 Sorry.
Yes. It looks like Charlie Saricki chimed up because he is the knower of all things, and he said Sound Girls Rock. That's Kim Watson, Mrs. Kenny, and of course
Carrie
the amazing Carrie Keys from Pearl Jam, their monitor person
right
for
on.
like ever, is some of the originators of that organization. And we couldn't. They were supposed to be in here for a week, doing a batch of them, doing some training with Greg, a master class, and then the COVID came, and so we had to push that aside for a while. But hopefully we'll get them in here sooner than later and spend some time with them. Would be lovely. Working with the amazing James Brown. Talk to me
Know
about
that.
Jimmy Brown.
That's
So I got to work with him at the Concord,
That's huge.
really right at the tail end of his career, and watching him, he was something, man. He was extraordinary. What was your experience with James Brown?
I had a little experience with him. I did production stuff, but mostly I was, you're a systems guy. Nobody wants to see you. They just make the PA work.
Make it happen.
Make a PA
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Just make the PA. Don't give a shit what you got to say. Just make the PA work. Just assholes and elbows, right?
Right.
And that was it. He was an extraordinary musician. His band.
Oh my God, the band.
The band was really good. My friend Scott Burke, who passed away, did a lot of production with him. He was a production manager for Bimbo's forever.
Yeah.
And then he was a freelance production manager for a couple of the promoters in those days. And so,
Sure.
anyway, he did most of those James Brown shows. I did a couple of them.
Yeah.
I did a few of them, but I was always in the background. I wasn't out front.
I think James liked it that way for most of us, and at the same time to kind of be stage right and just watch him do his thing and how he worked that band. There was something really special and almost mechanical about it. It was a machine.
Well, there's something to be said about musicians from that era.
Yeah, those are real musicians. That's a
we-
trained up bunch.
Performers now would do themselves a favor by looking at some of those old videos. I did a show, I forget which university, and I was front of house for, it was later on, it was a Four Tops, and we lost power on a generator. And I'm in the middle of the crowd, and you've all had this experience. You've been out in the middle of the crowd, and just everything goes. Just like,
Never happens.
Fuck. Oh fuck. and they kept going. They never stopped. And they kept going. They kept going. I get this sign like, you know, and I'm, you know, you see my dark skin. I'm glistening in the fucking sun with sweat coming down. I'm
panicking
back.
just a little baby bit.
Panicking is a small word for it. But they kept dancing and they kept moving. They kept dancing. The crowd got closer. And I get the signal that the generator's coming up, and you pull the master down, and so they were going, and I could see them. Like, okay, I got to time this right. Got to get something back right here. And they were dancing, and then they turned around when they came back to do the harmony. Pulled it back up. And then
sweet.
So they didn't see me; they saw them. Right. And so that was a really, really good experience with going forward many years, to say that you want to keep the PA running, you want to keep the PA up and running, and you know how it feels when an engineer loses all power.
Oh, it's
an awful feeling. It's an
awful.
awful feeling when you're in the middle of a crowd like that and lose the PA.
Yeah, I just couldn't agree with you more.
30,000 for me.
Well, yeah, you know, we had a recent thing with a generator take a shit on us during a national act, a very large
Not
act.
cool, man.
And it just bit the ghost and flew up a big puff of smoke. And luckily, of course, there was a backup, but there's still that time in between.
Ugly pause.
Yeah, and it was, I believe it was actually with this rig right here, which doesn't favor not having its power on. So it was a challenge, and I think it, you know, there may have been some skid marks in the crew. I'm guessing. But yeah, Mike can testify to that. He was there. He knows, and so yeah, it's a real thing. It's a part of our thing. You mentioned in the beginning, I had the question here: do you ever miss being out in the field? But you said earlier that you kind of came away from the field because you were kind of over it.
Yeah.
Was it just the chasing the freelance chase? I mean,
well, no, the freelance chase was always good. I mean, that's how I started. Was I had to be a freelance guy because no one would give me the opportunity in the '70s, and so there were a couple places that I think I told you this before. Is that, you know, a couple places that I said I'll work for free for three shows.
Show you what I can do.
You know, if this works for you, you like the work ethic, you like what I do, then great, pay me on the next one. And so.
Was this down to age? Was this down to the fact that you're African American? What do you think? What are we talking about here?
You know, there are a multitude of ways to look at it. I'm sure it was all of that.
You were easily one of the smartest men I've ever met.
That doesn't matter.
You and this guy, but this was not. That didn't play into it.
It was a bit of a boys' club back then.
It was a boys' club, and if you didn't know the right boys' club and the right combo to get in, it didn't really matter. And
secret handshake and all that.
Yeah, you had to know. And it was a very, very small club. I mean, the way that I got in, you know, was just you do something nice for one of the characters or someone that was relatively powerful, and you say, okay, you have an opportunity, right? A principal player.
Sure.
And so, and as we were talking before the show. When Beach Blanket Babylon first started, the way that I got involved with that original show was through Dick Gerritsen.
Oh, no kidding.
Who passed away.
Yeah.
He was with the Lamplighters, right? And so, but he and I worked at Lawrence Berkeley Laboratories.
See, that's an interesting part of your history that I trip on that a little bit. Not because it doesn't sound like something that you're fully capable of, because again, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met.
I appreciate that.
Tell
not
us,
really. I just read a lot.
Well, think whatever way you get there, you know. Yeah. Tell us about that.
I hadn't graduated from school, and I got this job right out of college, and I happened to qualify for this job at Lawrence Berkeley, and it was at the time it was under the Department of Defense.
Okay.
And I worked in the linear accelerator, particle accelerator division.
Okay.
And it's a massive facility with a lot more smart people than me, but I worked in a particular area, and my area was power supplies.
Okay.
And so that's how I met Dick Gerritsen. He worked at I think it was called he worked at the cyclotron.
Wow.
Which is right down the hill, because the cyclotron, the linear accelerator fed into the cyclotron.
Yeah.
So he worked at the cyclotron, I worked at the linear accelerator, and we met each other, and he had a recording studio, and he did all these various things. So he was audio for a lot of people in those days. You couldn't make a whole lot of money in it.
Yeah.
So it was a side gig, or you were a musician.
It was a passion kind of thing.
Yeah, it was literally a passion thing, and so that's how I got involved in audio in those days. And there were no 19-inch racks.
No,
there were no line arrays.
There was no uniformity.
There weren't even trapezoidal boxes in those days. Right?
There was not.
Right?
Yes. Wow.
There were no trapezoidal boxes.
No.
And this was when in San Francisco, Broadway was booming. Carol Doda was still around.
Yeah.
Perfect 36.
Big Owls.
Yes, Big Al.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
The Mabuhay Gardens was still around.
Yeah, I love that place.
It was a special, kind of a special time and an innovative time. There were lots of plays going on in those days.
Sure.
And we got involved in, and wireless didn't exist, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? You remember we used to use mic mouse and shotgun microphones.
Right.
Yeah.
And your life was a living fucking hell if you didn't have a third octave with a shotgun microphone trying to do a play.
Yeah, my God. Not ideal.
Right? It was fucking awful.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to call it the magic finger, you know. Like, as long as you had your finger on the fader, it was like it was there. If you turned around and whoop.
Yeah. The Dugan mixer didn't exist in those days. You were the Dugan mixer.
Yeah, you're like riding that thing. Yeah.
Dugan in the house.
That's right. And I couldn't afford, because I was a freelance guy, and I damn sure couldn't afford a third octave EQ, right? And so anyway, it was a pretty cool time. And we were talking before this. I met John Mayer before he had Mayer Labs.
Sure.
And when I met him, they had just, I think they were building the JM5s. The original JM5. The first one, if I'm not mistaken, was a JM3, and they were too expensive for us.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And so we had to deal with we had to deal with Altec Lansing amps and DC 300As. The Crowns were too expensive.
Yes.
So we dealt with the Altec Lansing and those old funky horns.
Oh, believe me, I know them.
Yeah. So anyway, so it was a magical time because things were moving fast.
That's right.
That was when the first articles on biamping first came out. So it was an interesting time. It was the time where I learned how to solder a snake. And you and I were talking the other day about what do they call it now? They used to call them ZIF connectors.
Oh,
zero insertion force.
Right.
They were all from the military, from the Air Force.
Right.
Yes. Ram latch and so on.
And they're called them ram latches. In those days, there was ZIF. Yeah, there was ZIF connectors and zero insertion force.
Yes.
And so that was the beginning of a lot of that.
I think we should go back to that name because, I just had to repair some ram latch today because people don't understand the zero insertion part. They're always so damn rough on the damn things. The hell, you people? Be gentle with my stuff.
Well, the way you stop that shit.
Yeah, tell me.
The way you stop that shit and stop fucking with them.
Yeah.
Or stop them fucking it up.
Tell me. I
Make
need
them
to
repair
know. You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Make them repair it.
But then you got to train. I mean, I try to train everybody as much as we can, but
fuck that. Make them do it from
No
scratch.
training.
No fucking training.
You get
nobody
food when the cables.
Yeah. No shit. No
You'll
shit.
figure it out.
By the 56th connection, and your fucking fingers are burned.
Yeah.
You learn how to solder.
Yeah, you're a badass by
You're
then.
a badass motherfucker by then, right?
On the fourth block, 56 hands.
Yeah, no fucking crimp tool. You got to fucking solder.
That's right. That's right. You're so on the money, man. Yeah. I want to show you something. Look in here. This has been a lovely, wonderful talk, and I.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, sweet baby.
Oh my God, we have no time left.
I wanted to get into with this, man, but I know that we'll start. The analytics tell us that these people, they got the attention span of a fucking cat. So, those people out there, the people that I love and we do this for, and so right around an hour we lose everybody.
Got it. Okay.
Is there a way that we could maybe coax you into coming back in here one of these days in the near future, and we could pick up? I will literally pick up where we left off in this thing, and we'll rejoin this conversation because this has been an absolute treat for me. I absolutely adore you. I hope you know that. You're such just a treasure to this business, an asset to a dear friend. We are so thrilled that you came and spent some time with us and shared some of your experiences with our audience. It's just been absolutely wonderful, my brother.
Let me tell you this
Tell
before
me,
we
brother.
go.
Tell me.
And I think anybody that's involved in our business from the first moment you see a first show, this is our crack, this is our heroin.
That's right.
And I can assure you that I've left the business multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
I've got securities licenses and real estate licenses.
The winery.
Yeah,
you
yeah. Well, I'm still involved in the winery.
I know it was in there. It's in there somewhere. Yeah, Deerfield. Right
Yeah,
there.
but there's a passion for this business, and I think anybody that's involved in it and that will take whatever it takes to get it done, to take the pay. You don't care.
Yeah.
And I think George, your brother, and I used to, we'd sit down sometimes, and it was like, you know what? This is a really fucking good show. Yeah. And you might get 2, maybe 3 of those a year.
A year, yeah.
That it's like, this is why I do it.
Yeah.
The PA is right, the weather's right.
Yeah, everything
the
just
audience
clicks,
is great. The guy mixing, you don't
Hairs
have to,
up on
your
your
hair's,
arms.
exactly.
Yeah,
and I think it doesn't matter if you're a woman, a man, or old or young.
That's right.
It's like if you're doing this side of the business, not the performance, but you're doing this side of the business.
That's right.
This is why we do what we do.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's really, truly is that one night. And my one night, by the way,
Tell me.
was with, it's been a couple years now since before COVID, but it was at Bottle Rock, and it was with,
Really?
it was a country and western singer.
No. Stop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, no,
really,
no, say really, stop.
All right.
Stop. We're done. Thanks a lot, everybody.
So give up the truth.
Wait,
Tell us.
here's
There's
the
rules, man.
No, there's not. Here's rule. Here the rule is. The rule is.
Yes, sir.
Is that we're in this business to make the performer shine.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
absolutely.
That's
We are in this
absolutely
business to make the music get to the people.
Yeah.
If we do that right, we disappear.
correct. Yeah.
Right?
When it's all
and so,
perfect.
if you put in my opinion, and this is what I tell any young person that asks me, is that if you are putting your flavor in it, it's not your flavor. It's not your music.
It's not your place to do that.
It's not.
Yeah.
And so we are a translator, and it's about pure translation, right? And so in doing that, it means that we do everything we can to get that out. We overcome weather.
That's right.
We overcome buzzies in the PA.
Yes, sir.
We overcome phase problems, whatever that is. Our job is to get that musician's information to the audience, to get that love, that flavor, whatever you want to call it, to the audience. The other part of that is that it also means that you don't judge music either.
Right.
Well, that kind of goes away with time.
Your brother sent me out on, this was 20 years ago. I got sent out on Charlie Daniels.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I did monitors for Charlie Daniels every time he came to Lake County, right? Every time he came in.
Yeah.
And so you start to understand.
We're talking Canocti here?
Yeah, Canocti.
Yeah.
Right. And so you get that. I also got sent out on a bunch of opera. And so what ends up happening for me is that, you look at your playlist and it's all the things that you like to listen to.
Sure.
But the fact is that if you sit there and you're doing monitors and you put your headphone to your ear and you go, fuck, this is fucking country, but this fucker can play.
Killing it.
Right.
Well, some of the better players are in the country game. Let's own that.
And I will not deny that.
Yeah.
One of the best shows that I was with was on Martina McBride.
Oh, yeah, she's badass. Clint Black did it for me one
Bull,
time out of
Bull,
nowhere.
you guys know Bull, right?
Absolutely.
Bull was the monitor engineer.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with her husband, John McBride.
That's right.
And he had, this is for all the engineers that like 50, 60 Waves plugins.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Saying.
He had 2 compressors.
Okay.
One for the kick.
Right.
One light compression for his wife.
Okay.
One reverb for the drums and the rest of the band, and that was it.
Damn.
Spartan. It was
clean.
So fucking good.
Yeah.
And he was on a Claire console.
Yeah, no shit.
And I was a systems guy, and I thought he was full of shit, honestly. And he told me, we were sitting there listening, he says, you got a driver out in the 3rd row of the PA. I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah, like you can't hear that.
Fuck you, you
can't hear
bullshit.
that.
You can't hear that. You
fucking
can't
play
hear
with
that.
it.
To be clear, that was your inside voice.
That's from that. No. and I swear to God,
Standing in front of
I
you.
swear to God, I swear to God, I swear to God,
hearing you.
he was absolutely correct. It was
Was
a
he?
three-way system with subs, right?
Damn.
And we were down in Lake Paris. And if you've ever been to Lake Paris and done any shows, it's like fucking racetrack down there.
It's rough.
It's fucking rough.
Yeah.
But the backdrop
It
on a
works.
full moon, they don't put up a scrim behind it. It's
They
just
don't
the
have to.
backdrop
God
of the
did
lake.
that.
It's so
Yeah.
fucking beautiful.
Yeah,
but
God did that.
she was,
Yeah.
and so my point is that you start to get these experiences with artists, and it's not relevant the music
It's true.
Right.
from an engineering standpoint.
That's right.
If you're listening, that's something different. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when we're on the job.
Yeah.
When we're on the job, there's no fucking smoking. There's no fucking drinking. There's no fucking partying.
No. It's game time.
It's game time.
You got your uniform on, you're suited up, you're ready to go.
Now, whether you like this musician or not, whether their timing is bad or not, it's not
Irrelevant.
relevant. What is relevant is make them sound good.
That's right.
And then you start to have an appreciation for the person's chops. I mean, I got to the point where I saw this one drummer, and he was a local guy, and I can't remember his name. And I couldn't understand why. I was like, this has got to be the dumbest motherfucker around. He's like, why do you have 2 snare drums? Right? And he had 2 snare drums, 2 sets of hi-hats, and a ride on each side. I'm like, what the fuck?
What was it
It's like,
thinking?
this is just making, now I got to double mic this motherfucker. It's just like, what the fuck?
Was it just for
No.
tonality?
And then,
or what
it was like, you need to keep your fucking opinion to yourself, because when he started playing,
Yeah.
he would switch from a left-sided drummer to a right-sided drummer in the middle of a fucking song.
Wow.
And I asked him why, and I'm, you're thinking, I'm going, why do I have to have fucking 4 snares,
everything.
top, bottom, 2 hi-hats?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. Then it became clear to you.
Then it became really fucking clear
Yeah.
that this guy had
was
so much
operating.
talent
Yeah.
that he could play on the left side, and he could switch in the middle of the song, do a riff across the drums, and stay here. Amazing. Wow. So my point, all of this is that we learn to keep your goddamn opinion in your back pocket.
That's right.
And just do the work.
That's good
Do the work.
advice. It's good
Do the
advice.
work. We are translators.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Everything we do is this is a translation for them.
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, you're not wrong. And, one of the questions in the back end of the cards that I tend to ask is, advice to the youngsters out there, the people coming up. That was great advice.
Yeah.
That was solid advice right there.
Yeah.
The hairs are up on my arm right now.
Yeah,
Because that is some shit you take to the bank right there. I could not agree with you more. And I learned it, invariably when I'd go out with acts, I started in the punk rock days. I'll make this quick. Started in the punk rock days, so a lot of times I was a critical little prick that, I think I got half the jobs I got because I think they thought I was cool and weird and different, in a time when there wasn't a lot of punk rockers. And invariably within a certain amount of shows, I would really start appreciating the act I was with, because it would just start growing on you, and you'd start feeling it, and you'd be a part of it and be a professional and do your job. And it could be as a guitar tech or whatever position I held at the time throughout the years. And right across the board, it started with Eddie Money. And I had no feeling for Eddie Money at all, but I loved Jimmy Lyon, And before I knew it, I knew every guitar. I knew every part of every song of everything they ever did. And, and then it makes you better. I think it makes you a better listener, a better provider, a better technician, a better support person.
We are better at what we do, and this is simply my opinion.
Yeah.
Is if you have an open mind, because literally everything we do is about how do we take this signal from the front end, from a technical standpoint, right?
Yeah.
We take this signal from the front end of this amplifier to the back end.
Yeah.
We want, from an engineering perspective, we want 0 distortion.
That's right.
Which is when I started to learn why amplifier manufacturers do what they do. You look at the crossover distortion from transistors to transitions, from transistor to transistor, you understand why they do D-style, H-style, all these different manufacturing designs, is because they are trying to take this signal with no distortion, with no coloration, put into this amplifier what the artist wants, and amplify it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yes. Make it louder.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a translator. It's simply that. And anything other than that. And so that's my perspective. That's purely my perspective. So, but thank you for having me, both of you.
No, man, this has been
Absolute
fantastic.
treat. Fascinating. Absolute treat. I couldn't ask for more.
I'm gonna go in the background now, so I don't like being on stage. By the way.
Okay, I could tell.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I could see how nervous you were.
Or some bitch.
Had to drag it out.
Fuck you guys.
Listen, that was the one and only Sidney Wilson. I love you, baby. Thank you for coming here. We're going to drag you back out here, hopefully with your permission, and do this again.
Sure.
I mean,
Sometime in the
you're
future,
like
right?
several blocks away. We could literally go drag you.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
We're going to collect
can.
him gently.
Yeah.
With maybe a pizza and a
yeah.
nice bottle of something sweet. And,
a little roofie.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
roofie.
We're just
A little roofie.
Wiggle him back over to our neck of the woods. Listen, we know that you guys got 1,000 other choices where you could be tonight. This is the world of the internet and all the TV channels and all that, and you come here and you let us entertain you and talk, and we appreciate you very much. We do it for you. I couldn't get this done without my dear, dear good friend and guest co-host, but really my brother. You really are. This is Bernie Broadway, legendary loudspeaker designer, the owner and creator and inventor and operator of Truth and Audio. A dear, dear friend. Thank you for being here tonight, Bern. Really appreciate you spending your hour with us.
I'd probably be back.
I would like that very,
probably
very
be back.
much. I couldn't do it without the one and only Mikey Brown, the man behind the camera. And tonight it's been nice because he's been narrating a little bit back there. I don't know if you guys can pick it up on the mics, but he's had a batch of
randy.
things to say. Yeah, he's been a little fired up. I think we really need to stick a camera. I think you guys need to send in notes if you're cool with us sticking a camera on Mikey. So whenever he wants to talk, we can just shut to him, and you can see Rock and Roll Jesus back there being in his environment. It would be lovely. Shout out to my dear brother George Edwards. Thank you for all this, boss, letting us get away with this murder. And a loving little note to my beautiful wife, Jackie Canterbury. I'm crazy about you, woman. Listen, we're going to do this next week. We've got the one and only Chris Cooper coming in. This guy's he's kind of a badass in the area of studio design. He owns Blue 7 Audio. He's a very cool cat. We're going to bring him in. He's going to sit right over there. We're going to pick his brain, see what the secrets are to getting a killer-ass studio up and running. He's the guy that would know, and we want to know about it. So why don't you join us here again next week? It's Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to have him in here. We're going to have a lot of fun. Until then, you guys behave out there, be kind, and be good. And John Del Rio says, great show.
Eric Church.
Eric Church. That was the guy.
That was
George,
the guy.
Is George Setnin? Is that who you were talking about?
Eric Church, yeah.
Eric Church
He was
the guy.
awesome.
On that closing note, Eric Church, apparently you might want to check him out because Sidney and my brother say he's pretty damn good. I don't even know who the fuck he is, but he must be good. I don't know. I trust this guy's ear. That's all I'm saying. Until then, we will see you again next week, and be good. Good night.
Thank you. I'm sorry I made it go so long.